our spirit will live on. We are witnesses, and we are a sign of peace. Our spirit will never die. We fought back with our pen, by reading books, by joining the underground, by caring for and mourning our friends. Fought back with our diaries, into which we poured our heart and soul. Never say this is the final road for you.
Though leaden skies may cover over days of blue, as the hour that we long for is so near, our steps beat out the message, we are here. From lands so green with palms to lands all white with snow, we shall be coming with our anguish and our woe. And where the spurts of our blood fell on the earth, there our courage and our spirits have rebirth.
Marika and told her what an awful dream I'd had. Suddenly, it occurred to me that this is the way poor Marta must have felt before the Germans shot her to death. All the while, she even hummed to herself, and I'd never heard her sing before. I thought I was having a nightmare. I've never been so frightened. We packed and waited. That was the worst. From time to time, when I thought I heard the bell ring, I would almost be happy. I knew that we were being taken to the ghetto, but I felt that if the silence went on for much longer, we would all go crazy. Then, the bell did ring. The police weren't unfriendly, but one of them insisted I give him the gold chain. He said, "Don't you know you aren't allowed to keep anything made of gold anymore? This isn't private Jewish property, but national property." I begged him to let me keep it, but he refused. He was afraid of getting in trouble. He said something about his wife having a baby and that I would be checking in at the ghetto and they would know he let me have it. In my grandma's night table, I found a velvet ribbon. I asked the police officer, "Mr. Inspector, may I take the velvet ribbon with me along to the ghetto?" He said I could. So now your key hangs off that velvet ribbon, dear diary. As we left, I noticed the garden had never looked more beautiful before. Grandpa stood in front of it, shaking and crying. And only then did I notice what an old woman Grandma had turned into, and she's only 54. She walked out of the gate as though she was drunk and sleepwalking, and there wasn't a tear in her eyes. We were loaded onto an empty truck. We stood. When we passed the pharmacy that Grandma and Grandpa used to own, we looked the other way. All the while, Uncle Bela held Augie in his arms, and I cuddled up alongside Grandma so as to not see the Aryans in the street. They were taking their afternoon strolls as if it was the most natural thing in the world that from now on we should be taken to the ghetto.
Couldn't you escape?
Where to? Besides, there's a 7-foot fence, and the punishment for everything is death. There's no difference between things. No standing in a corner, no spankings, no writing down irregular verbs 100 times the way it used to be in school. No, the lightest and heaviest punishment, death. It doesn't actually say that this punishment applies to children, but I think it does apply to us too. It's a topsy-turvy world, that's for sure.
The final days of the village.
I don't want the Germans to kill me with a gun as they killed Marta. Maybe I'll also be taken because I have a red bicycle. Ugh. I know what I'm saying is silly, but I'm also worried that I'm going out of my mind like Grandma did. What was your happiest day, David?
My happiest day was when Father returned. I'll never forget it. I was at the neighbor's, baking soup for sister. Suddenly, I heard a truck approaching and singing. I ran out, and right enough, there they were, driving up. From far away, you could see them waving their arms, their caps. I saw Father waving too. I threw everything down, ran to meet him, and arrived at the same time the truck did. I immediately took Father's bundle from him, and we entered our flat. I couldn't even greet Father. I was so glad. No one can imagine our joy. Only someone who's been through the same experience will understand. It was like in a film. We experienced so much in almost a second. Our house was immediately full of people. They all came for the good news. Father had injured his arm. That's why I let him out. At first, I was very frightened, thinking he'd been very badly wounded. Hard for me to describe everything Father related. First week was the worst, till they got used to things. Work wasn't so bad. Look at the discipline. A man doesn't march well, or sing, he gets beaten. Reveille is at 4 and at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, work ends. For 13 hours. For 13 hours at a stretch, men aren't allowed to take a rest. Anyone who sits receives a terrible beating. He sits up till 2 in the morning. There's no end to his account.
The other day, I bet the priest insisted on 6 months of study. I always thought that priests were holy people who helped anybody who was in need. But it seems they only help the Aryans. They don't help Jews. Who helps us? Besides, there's a race law and it doesn't matter what a person's religion is. Not only that, our dressmaker, Mrs. Jacoby, offered to take me home with her, but Grandma started howling that she was an evil woman and she would sell me to men and then I would also be an evil woman. How could that be? Nobody's buying Jewish girls these days. Things happened so quickly after Hitler's dogs came. I had to wear a star and the police were there. They came for our belongings, the rugs, the silverware, the paintings, my camera. They also came for my bicycle. His name was Friday, remember? I know that policemen bring only trouble with them wherever they go. I almost caused a big scene. It's my bike. I bought it at the store. It has a proper license plate. Grandpa paid for it. Shame on you for taking a bike away from a little girl. That's robbery. The officer said that all he needed was for a little Jew girl to cause a scene when her bike is being taken away. He also said that we weren't entitled to bread, so we shouldn't guzzle everything but leave it for the soldiers. Now that it's all over, I'm so ashamed of how I behaved. You can imagine how it felt when they were saying this to my face. I'd only heard that sort of thing on the radio or read it in a German newspaper. Still, it's different when you read something than when it's thrown in your face, especially if it's when they're taking your bike away.
Sometimes I wonder why not more of us go.
I'm dressed in rags and skinny, looking at me with these eyes that begged, rescue me from this hell. And I cannot. I can only look on how others suffer and die, and I can only pray to God to send her back to us. God, that I should have all that I could wish for, that she should be seized by such a terrible fate. I am not more virtuous than she. She too wanted to do what was right. Why should I be chosen to live and she probably to die? What is the difference between us?
My best friend was Ben.
Front gate ring 5 times. It was Marta's nursemaid who stayed on as a cook because Marta didn't need a babysitter anymore. She said, "Marta, you've got to come home. The police are there. You have to go with Papa and Mama." Marta said maybe it's because she rode a bicycle too fast. She should have listened to her father. He said many times she'd end up with the police on account of speeding. I thought that must have been it. I'll call you later. Marta's bike was left near mine beside the front gate. Augie and I had the heart to send it to her grandmother's. Augie cried a lot whenever she saw the two red bicycles standing next to each other. I never saw her again. She was taken to Poland. My best friend was Lee. Sent me a present, a gold bracelet. From Grandma, Augie's mom, I got a light tan spring coat and a navy blue net dress. From my father, a pair of high-heeled black shoes and 2 pairs of sheer stockings. Until now, I've always worn plain stockings or socks. From Aunt Lily, my father's sister, I got a pretty little gold chain. Dear diary, from now on, I will keep the key with which I will lock you on this chain, so no one will ever know my secrets. It was a happy day, but also sad.
Because of your mother not being there?
Yes, but also because of Marta. Marta was my best friend. She was 2 classes ahead of me. I was so proud to be her friend. She loved to dance. She was taken on a train to Poland without luggage and without food. It will be 3 years ago this summer. Is married to Uncle Bela. Well, he's not really my uncle. He's my stepfather. I just call him that. Augie's absolutely crazy about him. Grandma says that Augie would do anything for Uncle Bela. I think that she loves Uncle Bela more than anyone else in the whole world. Then me, then Grandpa. Of course, she never gives an honest answer when I ask her. I admire Uncle Bela a lot, because he knows a lot, more than anyone else I know. Once I asked him, why do people hate Jews so much? The tragedy of us Jews, he said, is that if the richest man in our town is a Jew, then the Aryans hate me too, because I'm Jewish, even though I don't have any money stashed away at all. I use all my allowance on birthday presents. True, I also get presents, even on Christmas.
You celebrate Christmas? You are Jewish, aren't you?
Augie and Uncle Bela are socialists. They believe we should always be for the underdog, because then everyone will have a good life and all the wicked people are killed. But Mom also likes pretty dresses. But of course we're Jews too. Uncle Bela is a journalist, but he can't get work now because of the Jewish law against journalists. Grandpa says that by the time I get married, it won't matter whether my husband is a Jew or not, and people won't even know what the word Aryan means. After the war's over, Uncle Bela may even be a minister, and then we'll have a really fine apartment in the big city, and I'll be a big city girl, and we might even have a car, and I'll have a really expensive camera, and marry an Aryan Englishman, because the English aren't so nervous, and they're very aristocratic. Robinson Crusoe, but it suits the bicycle well. First of all, because I bought it on a Friday, but also because Friday is the symbol of loyalty, because he was so loyal to Robinson.
Blessed be you, God, King of the universe, who has formed man in wisdom. Blessed be you, God, healer of all flesh and doing wonders. My name is Moshe Flinker. I wish to be a diplomat, a Jewish statesman in the state of Israel, a leader of my people. Only there shall I achieve my object of helping my people, which is my only wish and lifelong aspiration. I am 16 years old, a Jew I was born, a Jew I will die.
I'm Yitzhak. I want to be like Moshe, but my people are the workers, the oppressed everywhere. That's why I'm a pioneer. Pioneers are young communists. We have a club of 10 and meet and discuss how we can change the world for the better. I am interested in so many things. History, poetry, writing. I am 15.
I want to study history, art, travel, go to Paris, meet interesting people, and wear nice dresses. I don't want to be just a normal housewife. My greatest wish is to become a journalist someday, and later on a famous writer. After the war is over, I want to publish a book titled The Secret Annex. Writing is the finest thing that I have. I can shake off everything if I write. My sorrows disappear, my courage is reborn. Anyone who doesn't write doesn't know how wonderful it can be. Everyone should keep a diary.
When I was in the ghetto, I considered it my duty to record everything.